Hi everyone, so season 24 PTR is live. I've been trying it out for a few hours now, but I stopped now because it's 6 in the morning, so we're gonna see more on the weekend. But I can already tell the Ethereal items are absolutely bonkers, and I really love them. They are amazing. I've tried the Inner Monk as well. Inner Monk seems very weak right now and clunky as well, so there is definitely some work to be done about that, but I will cover this at another point. I mostly just want to show you the big highlight, I guess, because this affects almost every build in the game, and those are those Ethereal items. You can get them quite easily on the PTR, so they do drop once in a while. In fact, I actually just had one GR where I got those two here at once, but overall, yeah, they drop here and there, not too much, but it seems alright. And the special part about them is they have a lot of stats, so they are basically really reminiscent of the Diablo 2 versions of those weapons, with a lot of weird stats and something that you don't usually find on weapons or just in general, something like undead damage here and stuff like that. And they all come with a random passive, which doesn't really do that much for most builds, and a random weapon power from the cube. So this could be pretty much all the class stuff. So there's, like Cypher the Cycle, there's Dawn, there is Heaven's Fury weapon, all this stuff. In the Monk, for example, I'm running with Ingeom right now. Those exist as well. So there are a few non-class items as well, like Furnace, Ingeom, Messerschmitt. Yeah, but it's mostly a kind of limited pool, and not even all the class weapons are there. For example, Crider Shot is not there, Sword of Ill Will is not there, so the really terrible stuff has been like manually sorted out as well. So they were selected in some way by the devs to make sure that you have a higher chance of getting a usable one. So you might have noticed this 100% damage to all monk skill affix. So this is something that all the weapons have actually. So all of them are class bound. So you can have those 3 fist weapons on a monk, you can have those 2 wands and a staff on the wizard. And it goes around for every single class, but they all have this one affix with the 100% extra damage, and some of them actually have a higher value of that. For example, there's the barb weapon, the Grandfather, which has 200%, and there's actually a wizard staff that has 300%, but it's a two-handed staff. So this one is quite curious. In fact, it's gonna make Firebirds absolutely nuts, because what this affix does is it's kind of lying a bit. It doesn't buff your wizard skills, it actually buffs your sheet damage. So when you wear this item, you get a straight up ×4 multiplier for your sheet damage. So people are running around with lots of sheet damage on very low Paragon already. As you can see here right now, I have 4 million, and if I unequip that thing, I have 1.3. So this is coming from the stats of the weapon, and then the ×2 from the 100% bonus. The Demon Hunter actually didn't get a melee weapon, so we have a crossbow, we have a hand crossbow, and we have a bow. They are actually extremely good, especially the crossbow. For Gaudy Age, it's gonna be insane. Shadows doesn't get anything, so unlucky. In fact, there will be some builds that will not use them. So especially Shenlongs on the Monk is extremely strong. So there is actually a good chance that especially Inners will not use Ethereal items because of Shenlongs, at least in pushing scenarios. For speed farming, it seems better to just have the consistency of Echoing Fury and the Ethereal, but we'll see exactly what kind of setups we're going to run in the end. There's also Crusader, for example, that has 3 one-handed flails and not any two-handeds, and this is also not really going to benefit many builds. So there's going to be like Hammered In and LOD and maybe something else, and that's about it. So most builds are going to run Norvald, for example. There is a good chance for like Heaven's Fury, Ivory Tower and stuff like that, but we'll see. Necro actually has some very curious weapons. So you see that some of them actually have some other special affixes apart from just the stats and this 100% bonus. For example, here on the barb we have this reduced damage of enemies hit by 25%. So this is going to be very strong, especially for supports. Then there's also here killing elite pack increases movement speed by 30%. There's actually something similar on the Witch Doctor weapon with picking up a health globe grants you 40% movement speed. So I think farming on Witch Doctor is actually going to feel pretty good next season if you want to do a lot of T16 and you get these health globes frequently when you want to use the Gruesome Feast passive anyway. So there's a little neat stuff like this on the weapons as well that makes them a bit interesting. Or for example, something like the grants spirit per crit. You have like an arcane power on crit weapon on the wizard. There's also a mana per crit here on the witch doctor, and some similar stuff like this basically. You have to note that it is possible to get offhand affixes on these. So you can actually get a two-handed crossbow, for example, that has a quiver affix, which is not really that useful. So I've been looking through builds, and it doesn't seem like there is really a lot of use for something like that. So you will find pretty trash Ethereals, but in general, they are going to be extremely strong just because of this 100% bonus already, especially if you don't necessarily require a specific weapon. So you can almost use any Ethereal and will almost guaranteed be an upgrade when you find it very early on. And then you just need to find one that has the right affix of whatever legendary you want in your weapon slot usually. So for the most part, most builds will not really change, but there is definitely, you know, a few things that will be affected by this, especially on the barb, where you have this big two-handed weapon. So there's going to be a lot of two-handed builds on the barb, I believe. And there's going to be a few other builds here and there where, for example, on the wizard with this staff that gives you this insane damage. And actually the funny part about this is there is a little bit of a chance for Star Pact to make maybe not exactly a return, but to be quite good with this, because there is no second meteor weapon and you have this now. In fact, I actually have exactly that weapon here already, I just realized, with a really good roll. So I might try that at some point. One curious oddity that I found is on only the Necro weapons, and only on some of them, you have these affixes that are really low values. So you see here, for example, this is a Ledger's Disdain power, and you only get 10% additional damage for each point of essence that it restores instead of 80%. So I think this is some kind of like legacy value that was never really implemented, and they maybe chose the wrong one. I don't think they purposely tried to get those to a lower value. For example, here's also the Blood Tide Blade with 100% maximum instead of 400% like it does on the live server. So it seems like this is a bit of like a bug or something, but this only happens on Necro. And it's not necessarily the case for all the weapons. For example, here is the Maltorius Petrified Spike with the regular 700%. He's also a really nice Shadow Hook that is exactly the same. So I think this is mostly some kind of mistake here. Yeah, but all in all, I can say the Ethereals are amazing, and I'm really looking forward to grinding them out and, you know, getting some stuff rolling, and also theory crafting a bit of what you can do. Especially for 4-man meta, it seems like it's kind of out of the open, like what is going to be the trash killer. There's definitely a lot of contenders. There's still Bone Spear even with the nerf, because Necros have some insane weapon here that gives you up to 100% extra damage on top of the other 100% damage. So Bone Spear almost stays where it is actually, if you count in the Ethereal weapon. But of course every other build gets a big boost from the Ethereal weapons compared to Bone Spear. So we'll see if this is enough to dethrone Bone Spear, and maybe there's going to be a Scythe, maybe there's going to be Cosmic Explosion. So there are definitely some possibilities here for like GR 150 trash killers, and there could be some other stuff like Spirit Barrage. There could be, or maybe even the Inners, because I believe right now it's very weak and it's going to see some insane adjustments as well later on. So this is what I have to share for now. So I hope you enjoyed this little overview. I will test much more over the coming days, so come check it out on live stream, or otherwise here on YouTube. I'll talk more about the weapons, certainly. Basically I want to showcase them all, also how they look and stuff like that. Right now I don't have level 70 characters of every single class, I just have the monk, so I just bought them from the vendor and that's it. And yeah, also gonna look more deeply at which builds actually would benefit from some crazy interactions perhaps. So I hope you enjoyed this little video, and see you guys next time.